Keystone vision testing machines are extremely user-friendly, but you need to ensure that you follow these instructions carefully for all aspects of using the machine, including setting up the equipment, sitting down your subject, and the running and interpreting of the tests. If instructions are not properly followed, you will run the risk of breaking the machine or gaining inaccurate results. To set up the machine correctly, start by carefully lifting it out of its case and placing it on a table. Do not lift the machine out by the more delicate viewfinder, but rather by its metal sides. Plug in the power supply unit and also plug the control unit into the machine, being careful to push it in the right way round. To open the machine out, release the magnetic catch and lift up the metal body. Now power on the machine. The LEDs on the control unit should come on, flicker and then stop at the first test, called Acuity Right, which we'll come onto in the testing section. The LEDs for far and day should also light up. The machine will also go through a rotational cycle whilst powering up. When sitting down the person you're testing, you first need to ensure that they're sitting on a chair at a comfortable height to the table. The participant needs to be able to comfortably look straight down into the machine, so the viewfinder will need to be adjusted to the right angle. All tests are given with both eyes open. The occlude buttons on the control panel for left and right eye are to be used for the right and left eye acuity tests on the rare occasions when it may be desirable to test one eye without the other eye seeing. Please see the instructional manual for more details on this. Spectacle and contact lens wearers should use any glasses or lenses normally worn for the distance being tested. For example, if corrective lenses are used for distance, they should be worn for the first test, and if reading glasses are worn, they should only be put on for VDU and near vision tests. Keep any bifocals or multifocals on at all times and look through the appropriate part of the lens. The testing sequence demonstrated here is as per instruction manual. Test F1 on the machine measures the right eye for distance. Our employer will now begin test 1 with our participant Steve. The machine will automatically start with this test. The questions to be read out for each test can be found in the instruction manual.
Right, Steve, we're going to do test 1. Now what you'll see is 9 blocks with numbers in them. I want you to read the first block on the top row, which is block 1A.
Block 1A.
Yes.
That's 5, 4, 8, 6, 3, 9.
If the participant had identified at least 5 of the 6 digits in block 1A correctly, then he would be considered as having 6/6 or 20/20 acuity in the right eye and would not need to read further. However, Steve has got 2 digits wrong, so this test requires him to carry on reading the contents of the blocks, continuing across each row consecutively from left to right, A1, B1, C1, then on to the next line of A2, B2, C2 and so on, until he's able to read a box correctly. One mistake is allowed for blocks A1, B1, C1 and A2, as indicated on the record form.
Can you continue and read the next block, please? That's 1B.
1B, yep, okay. 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, 8.
Steve has now got only 1 digit wrong and can stop this test here. Now press the Advance key marked ADV on your control panel to move on to test F2. This test measures left eye acuity. The structure of test F2 is identical to test F1 and should be conducted in the same way. Press the Advance key to move on to the next test, test F3. This tests both eyes for distance. Again, the structure of this test is the same as the preceding 2 and should be conducted in the same way. Press the Advance key to move to test F4. This test investigates colour vision. Ask the participant to read out the numbers in the 3 circles on the top row, and then do the same for the bottom row. The circles on the top row test for red-green colour perception, and the circles on the bottom row test for blue-violet colour perception. Now press the Advance key to move on to test 5. You will also need to press the Far key on the control panel. Begin by asking the participant whether they can see a scale of numbers and dots with 2 cross lines running through it. There are now 2 questions to ask about this scale. Firstly, at which number or between which 2 numbers does the red line pass through the scale? Secondly, at which number or between which 2 numbers does the green line pass through the scale? Mark the number that the participant states the lines cross. For the red line, some participants will perceive the line to move, in which case mark the span of numbers it crosses. Where the response is delayed by this apparent movement of the red line, you can assist by asking for a number within the range of movement. When this has been obtained, determine how far each way the movement continues. To move on to the next test, press the Advance key. This test measures far point stereopsis, or depth perception. This test consists of rows of symbols. In each row, one symbol should appear to stand out in front of the others. Give the patient some time to adjust and then begin by asking which symbol sticks or floats out, or appears closer than the others in the top row. Then ask the same for rows 2, 3, 4 and 5. Tick off the correct answers across the record sheet until the last correct response is given. The order of symbols that stick out in each row from top row to bottom should be box, heart, cross, star and cross. Press the Advance key to move to test F7, and the LED for contrast should light up. You will also need to switch to night on the control panel for this test. Ask your participant to read the numbers in the first block in the top row box 1A. If they are read correctly, the participant has the ability to read a 621 acuity test at 10% contrast, and they do not need to read further. If not, they should continue to read across each row consecutively from left to right until all numbers in a block are read correctly. Please note that at this time no standards for contrast sensitivity have been set. If the test subject is unable to pass this test as set out here, he or she should not be denied a licence solely on the outcome of this screening. To move on to the next test, press the Advance key, which should cause the glare LED to light up. Also make sure the machine is still switched to night. Please warn your subject at this point that you will be flashing a light in front of them. Explain that you will then be asking them to read a specified line of numbers immediately after the flash of light. Once the participant is ready and looking through the viewfinder, you need to flash the light by pressing the glare switch on the control panel. When the light goes out, your participant must read without delay the numbers in one of 3 lines you instruct. You need to measure whether they're able to read 6 or more numbers correctly in less than 5 seconds after the light goes out. When marking for tests F1, F2 and F3, you need to look at what you've marked in the test description column and then find the data in one of the other 3 columns. This will indicate the acuity measure. For example, if you've underlined 6 equals 5, 4, 7, 6, 3, 8 in column 1, the same answers can be found on the right-hand side as 6, 6 equals 5, 4, 7, 6, 3, 8. So the acuity measure here is 6, 6. For the rest of the tests, the record form is straightforward, but please note the following. For test F5, the expected answer for both lines is between 4 and 5. Please see the instruction manual for further details on this. When interpreting the results, refer for a full professional eye exam any subject who scores one or more tests in the unacceptable section of the record form, or who has a side field vision below 70 degrees on one or both sides. Please note that those failing the depth perception and/or the colour vision tests only need not be referred, but should be made aware of their deficiency. Scores in the lightly shaded area indicate a somewhat doubtful performance, and subjects whose occupation requires good vision, e.g. display screen users, and who score in the lightly shaded area would also benefit from referral for a full examination. For the low light night vision test, the results should not be significantly different from those obtained under normal light conditions. Under normal use conditions, virtually no repair or adjustment is needed, since all operating components are protected and solid-state circuitry assures exceptionally high reliability. The machine does not need to be calibrated, and it does not normally require annual servicing. Please refer to the manual for more details about maintenance. We will now go through some frequently asked questions and tips that will be useful for using your machine. If one side of the target is blank, possible causes are either that the LED lamp inside the machine is faulty or blown, which will require replacement with a spare as per the instruction manual, or that the occlude switch is faulty. If the machine and control panel do not light up when switched on, there are a couple of possible causes. The first is that the power supply unit is faulty if the green LED is not lit up. Replace the power supply unit with a new 12-volt Keystone AC-DC adapter. The second possible cause is that the link fuse on the main PCB is faulty or blown. When the machine is switched on, if pressing the advance and reverse buttons does not move the target, the possible cause is that the control panel is not connected properly. Turn the machine off, remove and refit the control panel, turn the machine back on, and ensure that the green LEDs for acuity right, far and day are lit up.